Chapter 4 of a threefold consideration of the elements. There are then, as we have said, 4 elements, without the perfect knowledge whereof we can effect nothing in magic. Now each of them is a threefold, that is, so the number of 4 may take up the number of 12. And by passing by the number of 7 into the number of 10, there may be a progress to the supreme unity upon which all virtue and wonderful operation depends. Of the first order of the pure elements, which are neither compounded nor changed, nor admit of mixtion, but are incorruptible, and not of which, but through which the virtues of all natural things are brought forth into act. No man is able to declare their virtues, because they can do all things upon all things. He which is ignorant of these shall never be able to bring to pass any wonderful matter. Of the second order of elements, that are compounded, changeable, and impure, yet such may be reduced to their pure simplistic, whose virtue, when they are thus reduced to their simplicity, doth above all things perfect all occult and common operations of nature. And these are the foundation of the whole natural magic. Of the third order are those elements which originally and of themselves are not elements, but are twice compounded, various, and changeable one into the other. They are the infallible medium, and therefore are called the middle nature, or soul of the middle nature. Very few there are that understand the deep mysteries thereof. In them is by means of certain numbers, degrees, and orders, the perfect action of every effect in anything soever, whether natural, celestial, or supercelestial. They are full of wonders and mysteries, and are operative as in magic, natural, and so in divine. For from these, through them, proceed the bindings, loosings, and transmutations of all things, and knowing and foretelling of all things to come, also the driving forth of evil and the gaining of good spirits. Let no man, therefore, without these 3 sorts of elements and the knowledge thereof, be confident that he is able to work anything in the occult sciences of magic and nature. But whosoever shall know how to reduce those of one order into those of another, impure into pure, compounded into simple, and shall know how to understand distinctly the nature, virtue, and power of them in number, degrees, and order, without dividing the substances, he shall easily attain to the knowledge and perfect operation of all natural things and celestial secrets. Chapter 5 of the wonderful natures of earth and fire. There are 2 things, saith Hermes, viz., fire and earth, which are sufficient for the operation of all wonderful things. The former is active, the later is passive. Fire, as saith Dionysius, in all things and through all things comes and goes away bright. It is in all things bright, and at the same time occult and unknown. When it is by itself, no other matter coming into it in which it should manifest its proper action, it is boundless and invisible, of itself sufficient for every action that is proper to it, movable, yielding itself after a matter to all things that come next to it, renewing, guarding nature, enlightening, not comprehended by lights that are veiled over, queer, parted, leaping back, bending backwards, upwards, quick in motion, high, always raising motions, comprehending another, not comprehending itself, not comprehended itself, not standing in need of another, secretly increasing of itself and manifesting its greatness to things that perceive it, in all things, active, powerful, invisible, present in all things at once. It will not be affronted or opposed, but as it were in a way of revenge, it will reduce on a sudden things into obedience to itself, incomprehensible, impalpable, not lessened, most rich in all dispensations of itself. Fire saith Pliny is the boundless and mischievous part of the nature of things, it being a question whether it destroys or produceth most things. Fire itself is one and penetrates through all things, as say the Pythagoreans, also spread above in the heavens are shining, but in the infernal place strait and dark and tormenting. In the midway it partaketh of both. Fire therefore in itself is one, but in that which receiveth it, manifold and in differing subjects, it is distributed in a different manner, as Cleanthes witnessed in Cicero, that fire, then, which we use, is fetched out of things. It is in stones, and is fetched out by the stroke of the steel. It is in earth, and makes that after digging up to smoke. It is in water, and heats springs and wells. It is in the depths of the sea, and makes that, being tossed with winds, warm. It is in the air, and makes it, as we oftentimes see, to burn. And all animals and living things whatsoever, as also all vegetables, are preserved by heat. And everything that lives, lives by reason of the enclosed heat. The properties of the fire that is above are heat, making all things fruitful, and light, giving life to all things. The properties of the internal fire are a parching heat, consuming all things, and darkness, making all things barren. The celestial and bright fire drives away spirits of darkness. Also this, our fire made with wood, drives away the same, inasmuch as it hath an analogy with, and is the vehiculum of that superior light, as also of him who saith, I am the light of the world, which is true fire, the Father of lights, from whom every good thing that is given comes, sending forth the light of his fire, and communicating it first to the sun and the rest of the celestial bodies, and by these, as by mediating instruments, conveying that light into our fire. As therefore the spirits of darkness are stronger in the dark, so good spirits, which are angels of light, are augmented not only by that light, which is divine of the sun and celestial, but also by the light of our common fire. Hence it was that the fire and most wise institutions of religions and ceremonies ordained that prayers, singing, and all manner of divine worships whatsoever should not be performed without lighted candles or torches. Hence also was that significant saying by Pythagoras, do not speak of God without a light. And they commanded that for the driving away of wicked spirits, lights and fires should be kindled by the corpses of the dead, and that they should not be removed until the explanations were after a holy matter performed and they buried. And The great Jehovah himself in the old law commanded that all his sacrifices should be offered with fire, and that fire should always be burning upon the altar, which customs the priests of the altar did always observe and keep amongst the Romans. Now the basis of foundation of all the elements is the earth, for that it is the object, subject, and receptacle of the celestial rays and influences. In it are contained the seeds and seminal virtues of all things, and therefore it is said to be animal, vegetable, and mineral, and being made fruitful by the other elements, and the heavens which it brings forth all things of itself, it receives the abundance of all things, and is, as it were, the first foundation from whence all things spring. It is the center, foundation, and mother of all things. Take as much of it as you please, separated, washed, departated, substantialized, and you let it lie in the open air a little while. It will bring full and abounding with heavenly virtues. Of itself bring forth plants, worms, and other living things, also stones and bright sparks of metals. In it are great secrets, if at any time it shall be purified by the help of fire, and reduced unto its simplicity by a convenient washing. It is the first matter of our creation, and the truest medicine that can restore and preserve us.